Mummy, there you are!
I'm sorry, are you talking to me?
I finally found you! Daddy said I'd meet you one day.
Oh, sweetheart. I think you've mistaken me for someone else. Where's your mother?
You're my mummy. Daddy showed me your picture. I knew it was you.
What's your name? Lucas Carter.
Carter?
Yes.
Daddy's name is Ethan Carter. He's the best daddy ever. He talks about you sometimes.
What? What did you say your daddy's name is?
Ethan Carter. Why are you crying? Did Daddy make you sad again?
No, how old are you, Lucas?
I'm 6. Daddy says 6-year-old boys are brave. I'm brave. That's why I came to find you.
You came to find me? Why?
Because Daddy promised. He said when you finally meet her, call her Mummy. She'll know who you are.
He really said that?
Yes. He keeps your picture in his office. He tells me she's a wonderful woman. I wanted to hug you. Can I hug you?
Lucas, where did you go?
Mom, I found Mummy!
Some moments in life arrive so quietly that the world around them keeps moving, completely unaware that someone's entire reality has just collapsed. For Maya Carter, that moment happened on a bright Saturday afternoon in the heart of Millennium Park in Chicago. Families wandered between food trucks and colorful festival tents. Children chased giant soap bubbles across the lawn, while musicians filled the air with cheerful jazz melodies. Couples posed for photographs beneath the famous Cloud Gate sculpture, laughing as they admired their reflections. Everything around Maya radiated warmth, happiness, and ordinary life. Yet, inside her, everything had gone cold. She remained frozen where she stood, the little boy's tiny arms still wrapped around her waist. Her breathing became shallow. Her heartbeat echoed loudly in her ears. She could no longer hear the music. She could no longer hear the conversation surrounding her. The only words replaying inside her mind were the ones that innocent little boy had spoken. Daddy showed me your picture. Call her Mommy. His name is Ethan Carter. Each sentence struck with the force of another blow, because Ethan Carter was not simply a man who happened to share her husband's name. He was her husband, the man she had loved faithfully for nearly 12 years, the man who stood beside her before God, their families, and hundreds of wedding guests inside a beautiful church overlooking Lake Michigan, promising there would be no other woman. The man who kissed her forehead every morning before leaving for work. The man who still texted her every afternoon asking if she had eaten lunch. The man who never forgot their anniversary. The man every friend described as the perfect husband. Or perhaps the perfect actor. Maya slowly looked down at Lucas. The little boy smiled up at her with complete innocence. There was no fear in his eyes, no uncertainty. Only excitement, the kind of excitement only a child could carry after finally meeting someone he had been waiting to see. Children could misunderstand many things, but they rarely rehearsed stories with such confidence, especially stories involving people they had never met. Every detail Lucas shared had been spoken naturally, without hesitation. That frightened Maya more than anything else. She lifted trembling fingers and gently brushed a curl away from the boy's forehead. Something about him made her chest tighten. It wasn't merely what he had said. It was the strange familiarity she couldn't explain. His smile, the slight dimple that appeared whenever he grinned, even the way his eyebrows lifted while asking questions. Those tiny expressions reminded her of Ethan. Not enough to convince a stranger, but enough to disturb a wife who had spent over 10 years studying the face of the man she loved. Her thoughts immediately rejected the possibility. No, she refused to believe it. There had to be another explanation. Maybe Ethan sponsored the boy through a charity program. Maybe he mentored children without mentioning it. Maybe Lucas misunderstood who Maya was. Perhaps there was some bizarre coincidence with another Ethan Carter.
Her mind desperately searched for explanations because the alternative was unbearable. Then another painful memory surfaced. For years, Ethan had traveled almost every month, sometimes Boston, sometimes Detroit, sometimes Indianapolis, sometimes Milwaukee, consulting projects, corporate negotiations, emergency meetings, weekend conferences. She had never questioned those trips. In fact, she had admired his work ethic. Whenever friends complained that their husbands spent weekends drinking with friends, Ethan was supposedly attending business meetings. She had considered herself fortunate. Now, those memories no longer felt comforting. They felt incomplete. She remembered the countless times she had offered to travel with him. Every single time, he had smiled warmly before giving the same answer. "Next time, sweetheart." There was always another reason, another client, another confidential meeting, another packed schedule, another promise that never came true. Looking back, there had never actually been a next time. Her stomach tightened. Another memory emerged. About 8 months ago, Ethan had returned home with a small stuffed dinosaur in a suitcase, bright green, soft, brand new. When Maya jokingly asked whether he planned to start collecting children's toys, Ethan laughed awkwardly and claimed it had been a promotional gift from a hotel. She had believed him. Today, Lucas carried a blue dinosaur backpack. It shouldn't have meant anything, but after everything that just happened, even the smallest coincidence suddenly felt enormous. Maya's thoughts spiraled further. There were the unexplained ATM withdrawals, the hotel receipts she never bothered reading, the phone calls Ethan occasionally answered outside, the sudden silence whenever she unexpectedly walked into his home office. At the time, every incident seemed too insignificant to question. Now, they lined up in her memory like puzzle pieces that had been scattered across the floor for years. Pieces she had ignored because love had convinced her they belonged to different puzzles. The frightening part wasn't the possibility that Ethan had lied. It was realizing how many opportunities she had unknowingly given those lies to survive. Across from her, the young woman who had rushed over to claim Lucas remained completely still. She couldn't have been older than 30. Her breathing was uneven. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her handbag so firmly that her knuckles turned pale. She wasn't looking at Lucas. She wasn't looking around the park. She was only looking at Maya. Not with anger, not with hatred, but with the expression of someone whose worst nightmare had just become reality. And in that silent exchange, Maya felt something she couldn't yet explain. This woman did not look surprised that Lucas had mistaken someone for his mother. She looked terrified because Lucas had found this woman, the woman Ethan had desperately hoped the two worlds would never meet. Maya swallowed hard. She still knew nothing. She had no proof, no evidence, only questions. But one thing had already changed forever. She had arrived at Millennium Park believing she was a happily married woman enjoying a peaceful weekend. She would leave carrying a question capable of destroying an entire marriage. Who was Lucas Carter, and why did Ethan spend 6 years preparing him to call another woman Mommy?
Lucas, come here now.
But Mommy, I just found Mummy. You said I should always say hello.
Please, come with me. No, I think we need to talk. I'm sorry about what he said. He's only a child. He gets confused sometimes.
No, I don't! Daddy showed me her picture.
She's Mummy. Your son seems very sure. Children imagine things. Please don't take it seriously. What's your name? Claire. Claire Brooks. Do you know my husband? I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Then why did your son just call me by my husband's surname? Why does he know Ethan Carter? Why does he say my husband showed him my photograph?
Mom, why are you scared? Daddy said secrets always make people cry.
Lucas, remember what Daddy told you? We don't talk about family things outside.
But Daddy also said Mummy is family, so why can't I talk to her?
How long have you known Ethan? Please, not here, not in front of him.
Does Ethan
know you're here today?
He was supposed to come. Look, Daddy's here.
Maya.
Don't say my name like nothing happened.
Please, let me explain.
Explain what? That you have another family? Or explain why another woman's son calls me mummy?
For nearly 12 years, Ethan Carter had lived two completely different lives. One belonged to the successful financial consultant admired throughout Chicago, the devoted husband, the dependable church volunteer, the generous businessman who donated to children's charities and rarely missed a neighborhood event. It was the life everyone knew. The life carefully polished until it appeared flawless. But somewhere beyond the admiration, behind the expensive suits, business trips, conference hotels, and perfectly rehearsed smiles, another life had quietly grown in the shadows. A life that Maya had never imagined existed. Standing across the parking lot, Ethan didn't look like a guilty man preparing to explain himself. He looked like a man watching years of carefully constructed lies collapse within seconds. His face lost every trace of confidence. Even from that distance, Maya could see panic spreading through him. He glanced first at Lucas, then at Claire. Finally, his eyes met Maya. There was no confusion, no surprise, only fear. Real fear. The kind that comes when a person realizes there is no longer any escape. For several long seconds, Ethan remained beside the SUV without moving, almost as if standing still could somehow reverse what had already happened. Maya had never seen that expression on his face before. Her husband had always been composed, whether negotiating million-dollar contracts or comforting grieving friends. Ethan possessed an almost unnatural calmness. Nothing seemed capable of shaking him. Nothing. Until today. The pieces inside Maya's mind continued arranging themselves without permission. Every postponed vacation, every unexpected business trip, every conference that somehow lasted through an entire weekend, every hotel receipt, every mysterious phone call answered outside the house, every anniversary dinner interrupted by a so-called emergency client. One by one, ordinary memories transformed into evidence. Not proof, not yet, but enough to make her question everything she believed about the man she married. She suddenly remembered something almost 7 years earlier. It had happened shortly after Ethan returned from what he described as a 3-week consulting project in Milwaukee. He came home unusually emotional. That evening, he hugged her for nearly 5 minutes without saying a word. Later, while they ate dinner, he had looked at her across the table and quietly asked, "If I ever disappointed you, do you think you'd forgive me?" She laughed. She thought he was simply exhausted from work. She reached across the table, squeezed his hand, and answered without hesitation, "You're my husband. We'll always work things out." He smiled, but instead of looking relieved, he looked guilty. She remembered asking what was wrong. He immediately changed the subject. At the time, she thought nothing of it. Now, that conversation returned with terrifying clarity. How many times had Ethan almost confessed? How many opportunities had he abandoned because silence was easier than truth? Her thoughts shifted towards Claire. The young woman didn't look arrogant. She didn't look triumphant. If anything, she seemed exhausted. There were no expensive designer clothes, no flashy jewelry, no attitude suggesting she had won another woman's husband. She appeared exhausted, like someone who had been carrying a burden for too long. That detail confused Maya even more. If Claire truly was Ethan's secret partner, why didn't she look happy? Why did she seem just as frightened? Then there was Lucas, the innocent little boy standing between them.
He smiled at everyone who walked past, completely unaware that the adults around them were drowning in secrets. Children have a remarkable ability to reveal truths without realizing they're doing it. Lucas wasn't trying to expose anyone. He wasn't trying to destroy a marriage. He simply believed he had finally met the woman his father had talked about for years. And that realization disturbed Maya more than anything else. Not once had Lucas called her by name. Not Miss Maya, not Dad's friend, not Auntie. Only one word, Mummy. Someone had planted that word in his heart long before today. Someone had repeated it often enough that the little boy accepted it as fact. But why? If Ethan truly had another family, why would he show his wife's photograph to that child? Why would he teach Lucas to recognize Maya? Why would he teach him to call her Mummy? None of it made sense. It was almost as if Ethan had been preparing for a day he desperately hoped would never come. The mystery had only deepened. Maya had expected answers the moment Ethan stepped out of the SUV. Instead, she found herself surrounded by even more impossible questions. Because the greatest mystery was no longer whether Ethan had another family.
Not here.
It was this.
Please. If I tell
Why
you
had he
everything, nothing
spent
will ever be the
6
same again.
years making sure another woman's child would one day recognize Maya before Maya ever recognized him?
Maya,
Don't. Don't say my name like nothing happened.
please, let me explain.
Explain what? That you have another family? Or explain why another woman's son calls me Mummy? Look at me. How long?
It's not what you think.
That's not what I ask. How long?
6 years.
6 years? 6 years of lying to my face? 6 years of kissing me goodbye every morning? 6 years of pretending everything was normal?
Maya, please listen.
Don't! Don't you dare come any closer!
Why is Daddy crying?
It's okay, sweetheart. Everything will be all right. Answer me. Is she your wife?
No,
Your girlfriend?
no.
Then what is she? Why is she raising your son? Why does he have your last name? Did you ever love me?
Every single day.
Then why?
Because I made one decision that destroyed every life standing here.
6 years is thousands of decisions, thousands of lies, thousands of mornings you looked me in the eyes and chose deception.
You're right, I deserve that. I deserve worse.
Finally, something honest.
Daddy, are we still going to tell Mummy the truth today?
What truth?
Not here. Please. If I tell you everything, nothing will ever be the same again.
Maya had imagined many ways betrayal might feel. She imagined rage. She imagined screaming. She imagined hatred so fierce that she would never be able to look at Ethan again. But standing there in Millennium Park, she experienced something far more painful. Confusion. Nothing fit together. If Ethan truly had abandoned his marriage to secretly build another family, why didn't Claire behave like a woman who had won? Why didn't Ethan defend her? Why didn't Lucas seem frightened of Maya? Why had everyone except the child looked miserable from the moment they saw each other? It was as though each of them carried a different piece of the same tragedy. And Maya possessed the only missing piece. She simply didn't know it yet. Ethan remained exactly where he stood. He made no attempt to touch Maya, no attempt to justify himself, no attempt to blame anyone else. That alone surprised her. Most guilty people searched desperately for excuses. Ethan searched only for courage. She had known this man for nearly 12 years. She could read the smallest changes in his face. When he lied about surprise anniversary gifts, his left eyebrow twitched. When he was nervous for presentations, he rubbed his wedding ring. When he felt guilty, he became unusually quiet. Today, every one of those signs was present. Yet something else was there too. Fear.
Not fear of being exposed, fear of finally telling the truth. There was a difference, a subtle one, but Maya noticed. She hated herself for noticing because a part of her still wanted to believe the man she loved wasn't entirely the monster her mind was painting. Then she looked at Lucas again. The little boy had quietly taken Claire's hand. His bright smile had disappeared. He kept glancing back and forth between the adults, trying to understand why everyone suddenly looked so sad. Children often blame themselves for problems they couldn't comprehend. Maya recognized that look. Years earlier, before infertility treatments finally ended, Maya volunteered every Saturday at Lurie Children's Hospital. She comforted frightened children whose parents were fighting illnesses, divorces, or impossible decisions. Many of those children wore the exact same expression Lucas wore now. The expression of a child silently wondering, "Did I do something wrong?" Her heart softened despite everything. Whatever secrets the adults carried, Lucas wasn't responsible for any of them. Neither did, strangely enough, Claire appear to be. Claire hadn't interrupted Ethan. She hadn't argued. She hadn't claimed him. She hadn't even stood beside him. Instead, she remained several feet away, almost as though an invisible wall separated them. Maya replayed every interaction she had witnessed since Ethan arrived. Not once had Ethan looked at Claire the way a husband looks at a wife. Not once had Claire reached for Ethan's hand. There were no affectionate glances, no familial touches, no signs of intimacy. Only shared anxiety. That realization unsettled Maya. If they weren't husband and wife, then what were they? And why had Ethan admitted 6 years of lies? Another memory surfaced. About 5 years earlier, Ethan insisted on creating a trust fund, not for themselves, not for retirement, for a child. Maya remembered laughing through tears as she signed the paperwork. She thought it was Ethan's way of refusing to give up hope that one day they might adopt or somehow become parents. He had simply smiled and said, "Every child deserves someone planning for their future." At the time, she thought it was another example of his kindness. Now, that memory felt different. Was that trust fund really for their future child, or had Ethan already been planning for Lucas? The possibility made her stomach churn. Still, one question refused to leave her mind. It was the same question that had haunted her from the beginning. Why her? If Ethan had wanted to hide Lucas forever, he would have kept Maya's existence secret. Instead, he had done the opposite. He had shown Lucas a photograph. He had spoken about her repeatedly. He had described her with kindness. He had even instructed the little boy to call her Mommy. No cheating husband trying to protect a double life would ever do that. It made no sense, unless Ethan had always intended for this meeting to happen. Not today, not like this, but eventually. As if there was a truth so enormous that no matter how long he delayed it, one day it would have to be told. Maya didn't know whether to fear that truth or pray it was enough to explain the impossible. Because deep inside her heart, beneath the anger and humiliation, another feeling had quietly begun to grow. Not forgiveness, not hope, curiosity. The kind of curiosity that can change the course of a life. And she made a silent promise to herself. No matter how painful the answer might be, she would hear every word Ethan had hidden for the last 6 years. Only then would she decide whether her marriage deserved a funeral or a miracle.
Close the door. Nobody leaves until I know why my marriage has become a lie.
Maya, I never wanted you to find out like this.
Then how? Another 6 years? Another 10?
I was trying to protect everyone.
Stop saying that. People don't destroy someone they love and call it protection. Who is Claire?
She has been in my life for years.
Answer the question. Who is she? I'm the woman he's been taking care of. Taking care of? That's what we're calling it now? Did you know he was married? Yes. Wonderful. At least one person in this room knows how to tell the truth.
Please, don't blame Claire. Everything that happened is because of me.
Did you love her? Answer me!
Yes.
Thank you. Finally, an honest answer. Is Lucas your son?
I've raised him as my own.
That's not what I asked. Is he your son? I don't need DNA. I don't need court papers. Your silence answered everything.
Mummy, please don't go! Daddy said one day we'd all be together, he promised!
Maya drove through downtown Chicago without knowing where she was going. Traffic lights changed from red to green. Cars passed on either side. People hurried along sidewalks carrying shopping bags and coffee cups. Life continued as though nothing extraordinary had happened. But inside Maya's mind, every memory she had ever shared with Ethan was being put on trial. For 12 years, she had believed trust was the strongest part of their marriage. Now she questioned whether trust had ever existed at all. She replayed countless moments that once seemed ordinary. Every business conference, every cancelled weekend, every anniversary interrupted by an urgent phone call, every overnight trip that ended with flowers and apologies. Each memory now appeared through an entirely different lens. The pattern was impossible to ignore. Ethan had not hidden a single mistake. He had hidden an entire life. That realization hurt more than the possibility of infidelity. An affair could begin with weakness, but maintaining a second household for years required planning, discipline, and thousands of deliberate choices. It meant birthdays had been celebrated in 2 different homes. Christmas gifts had been purchased for 2 different families. Medical appointments, school meetings, rent payments, vacations, and ordinary evenings had all been carefully arranged without Maya ever suspecting the truth. She wondered how many times she had kissed her husband goodbye in the morning, while another family waited for him before sunset. That thought made her physically ill. Back at the community center, Ethan remained seated long after Maya left. Claire said very little. She knew this day had been inevitable. For years, she had urged Ethan to stop living between 2 worlds. Every month that passed made the eventual truth more devastating. Secrets never become lighter with time. They become heavier. Lucas, however, understood almost nothing. All he knew was that the smiling woman from the photographs had walked away crying. The child could not understand why the person he had spent years hoping to meet refused to look back. He quietly picked up the drawing he had been carrying inside his backpack. It was a crayon picture of 4 people standing under the same roof. A man, a woman, a little boy, and another woman with long dark hair. Across the top of the page, written in uneven 6-year-old handwriting, were 3 simple words: "My happy family." Claire stared at the drawing for several moments before gently folding it closed. Her eyes filled with tears, because she knew something Maya did not. Something Ethan had sworn would remain hidden until he found the courage to tell the truth himself. The drawing was not a fantasy. It was based on a promise. A promise Ethan had repeated so many times that Lucas believed it with all his heart. And that promise was the reason the little boy called Maya Mummy. The answer still remained hidden, but for the first time, it was no longer buried by lies alone. It was buried beneath a promise that, if broken, would change 4 lives forever.
You followed me.
I had to. If I lose you tonight, I'll never forgive myself.
You should have thought about that 6 years ago.
You're right.
No excuses, no more lies. Tonight you answer every question. How many times have you slept in that apartment?
Hundreds.
How many birthdays have you celebrated with them?
Everyone.
Every one. While I was home wondering why another meeting suddenly appeared on your calendar, did you buy Lucas Christmas presents?
Yes.
Did you teach him to ride a bicycle?
Yes.
Did you attend his school events?
Yes.
Did you comfort him when he cried?
Yes.
You became everything to him, but you never gave me the chance to become anything. Every month I prayed for a child. Every birthday I wished for one. Every Mother's Day I smiled while pretending I wasn't breaking inside.
I never wanted to hurt you.
But you did, every single day. Tell me one thing. Just one. Why did you tell Lucas to call me Mummy?
Because I never stopped believing that one day you would love him.
The house felt different that night. For 12 years, it had been a place filled with quiet routines and familiar comforts. Every room held memories of birthdays, anniversaries, holiday dinners, and dreams about a future they hoped would eventually include children. Now, those same walls seemed to echo with unanswered questions. Maya spent the night in the guest bedroom. Sleep never came. She lay awake replaying every conversation she had shared with Ethan since the beginning of their marriage, searching for the exact moment honesty had disappeared and secrecy had taken its place. She could not find it. That frightened her more than the lies themselves. Outside, the rain continued until dawn. Across the city, Ethan remained seated in the living room. He never entered their bedroom. He never turned on the television. He never touched his phone. The silence became its own punishment. For years, he had convinced himself that delaying the truth would somehow protect everyone involved. Instead, every passing year multiplied the damage. The burden he carried no longer belonged to him alone. It had become Maya's burden, Claire's burden, and even Lucas's. Meanwhile, Claire sat awake in her apartment, watching Lucas sleep peacefully. The little boy still believed the day had ended well. He believed he had finally met the woman whose photographs had filled his childhood. He could not understand why every adult had cried. Children often measured love through simple moments: a smile, a hug, a bedtime story. Lucas believed those moments were still possible. The adults knew they might never happen. Morning arrived with no answers. Maya walked through the house collecting photographs from shelves and hallway frames. Wedding pictures, vacation memories, family celebrations. She studied Ethan's smile in each one. For the first time, she wondered how many of those photographs were taken while another part of his life remained hidden from her. She wasn't searching for proof anymore. She was searching for truth. Not the legal truth, not the financial truth, the emotional truth. She wanted to understand why a man who had deceived her so completely still looked devastated by the possibility of losing her. As she organized old photo albums, something unexpected slipped from between two pages. A folded envelope, yellowed with age. It had been hidden so carefully that it had remained unnoticed for years. On the front, in Ethan's handwriting, were 6 words. For Maya, when I'm finally brave. Maya stared at the envelope for several moments. The seal had never been broken. Dust rested along its edges. Whatever was inside had been written years earlier, long before the events of the previous day, long before Lucas had unexpectedly run toward her in the park. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. She realized this wasn't an ordinary letter. It was a confession Ethan intended to give her, but never found the courage to deliver. Whether it contained another lie or the truth that would finally explain everything, she did not yet know. But she understood one thing. The answers she had been searching for were no longer waiting inside Ethan's words. They were waiting inside that unopened envelope.
You found it.
I almost didn't.
I wrote that letter 5 years ago.
5 years? Then today you're going to tell me everything yourself. If you lie even once, I'm leaving forever. No, this isn't possible.
You don't remember.
Remember what?
The accident 6 years ago, the surgery, the medication, the memory loss.
What are you talking about?
The doctors told us some of your memories from that month might never come back. You met Claire, you met Lucas, you held him, you loved that little boy like he was your own. One evening, Lucas fell asleep in your arms. You kissed his forehead, you smiled at me, and you said,
What did I say?
You said, if anything ever happens to Claire, promise me I'll raise him. The next morning, your condition became worse. The emergency surgery saved your life but damaged your memory. You remembered our marriage, but you never remembered Claire or Lucas.
Why didn't you tell me?
Every specialist told me the same thing. Forcing lost memories back too quickly could traumatize you. They told me to wait. I kept waiting. Then months became years, years became fear, and fear became lies.
That's why he called me Mummy. Not because I replaced you.
Because you already were, long before you forgot.
Daddy said you might remember one day. Can I hug you?
The truth did not erase the pain. It did not erase the years of deception, the broken trust, or the loneliness Maya had endured while searching for answers that Ethan was too afraid to give. But it changed the meaning of everything that had come before. The secret Ethan carried was never as simple as another family. His greatest mistake was not loving Lucas. It was believing that fear could protect the people he loved. Instead of trusting Maya with the truth, he trusted time. Instead of seeking healing together, he chose silence. That silence slowly poisoned the very marriage he had hoped to preserve. Over the following weeks, Maya read every page of the unopened letter. She also reviewed hospital records, medical reports, and photographs stored in old digital archives. Each piece of evidence confirmed the same heartbreaking reality. There had indeed been a period in her life that existed beyond her memory. Although she could not remember every moment, she accepted that the woman she had once been had loved Lucas deeply enough to make a life-changing promise. Recovery did not happen overnight. Trust, once broken, demanded patience. Ethan began attending marriage counseling with Maya. For the first time in years, there were no hidden apartments, no secret meetings, and no unexplained trips. Every difficult question received an honest answer. Claire also chose a new path. She rebuilt her independence, found stable work, and gradually stopped relying on Ethan's financial support. The relationship between the three adults slowly transformed from painful secrecy into respectful honesty. Most importantly, Lucas no longer lived between two worlds. He no longer had to wonder why the woman he admired existed only in photographs. He became part of Maya's life, openly, with kindness replacing confusion and truth replacing secrecy. The bond between them did not return because of forgotten memories. It grew because Maya consciously chose it. She chose to honor the promise she had once made, even if she could no longer remember making it. Years later, when Lucas graduated from high school, Maya sat proudly beside Ethan in the front row. As Lucas crossed the stage, he searched the audience until he found her. He smiled. Then, without hesitation, he raised his diploma toward the woman who had once disappeared from his memories and later returned to his life by choice. In that moment, Maya understood something profound. Family is not always defined by blood. Sometimes it is defined by promises, forgiveness, and the courage to tell the truth before it was too late. Some secrets destroy families. Others reveal the strength they never knew they possessed. And Maya would forever be grateful that one innocent little boy had looked in a crowd, smiled with complete certainty, and called out the one word that changed all of their lives: Mommy. Some lies are told to hide betrayal. Others are told out of fear. But even when the intention is good, the truth has a way of finding its own voice. What would have you done if you were Maya? Would you have forgiven Ethan after discovering the full truth? Or would the years of secrecy have been impossible to overcome? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for another unforgettable story on Sweetest African Folk Tales. Until next time, stay kind, stay hopeful, and remember, sometimes the greatest miracles begin with the smallest voices.